And there we are. Hello, Ellie. It's
Hello.
Hastings and Lindahl hanging out. Hot mic. Ellie just had a soccer game. She's probably. Are you cooling off now? This is indoor soccer. So what do we do tonight? It wasn't. It was a. It was like a side game, right?
Yeah, it's like winter training, so they just play indoor soccer in the wintertime.
What's it
Which
called?
I don't know if you've been out today. It was 14 when we left with the South Suburban Sports Center place.
Oh, it's not warm. I had to go make sure my pug didn't stick to all the places he tries to pee. So yeah, it's not a lot of fun out there right now. But you know what? We're rocking, and here we are. If you guys want to jump on and give us a comment, go ahead. I'm not even sure what to start with, other than Ellie is selling Girl Scout cookies, and Scott's got the code if you want to buy some through her. Uh, what's with D? Yeah, what's
Yeah.
with DMAC giving you the? He just bought all the different kinds. Now,
One of these.
again, I don't want to bag on him because he did a great job of supporting Girl Scouts, but I don't love all the Girl Scout cookies, to be
Well,
honest
now
with you.
according to DMAC, he gives some away, or most of them away. You though bought
I
five
eat them.
boxes, and then you donated a box.
Yeah, and I eat them. So I don't share my tag-alongs. So
And you know what we
here's
got to talk
Marie.
about
Hello,
real fast.
Marie.
I meant to text you before and say, hey, the cookies are in the back seat of my car, and I forgot. So now I got to run out in the car today, and I went, oh, and Andy drove the cold weather Ranger, the Beverly Hillbillies pick 'em up truck from the '80s, and I'm thinking I'll just open up the door here and set him in the front seat. Lo and behold, I get to the door and you've locked it, and I'm like, of any car in Denver, why would you lock this car?
Because I'm old school. Because you know what? It's still a car that runs. And it is the perfect car for my son to have. And I ain't buying another one. My son already, we're going to talk some sports. Everybody join us for that. Yeah, my son's he's doing a good job overall, but he leans to the right and he freaks me out. So the Ranger's perfect, Scotty. And yes, I
No,
need it.
no,
It
I'm
has
just
no
saying,
power,
but
nothing.
I'm thinking with car insurance, it might be worth more stolen than it is
No,
driving.
it ain't even no. I'm not. It doesn't.
I mean,
I don't know
I'm
what
thinking
they'd
you
give
might
me
say,
for
"Hey,
that.
I'm parking out on the street by Walmart over there off of County Line and 470 in Quebec, and I'm just there. The keys are under the mat. Don't steal it though; it's unlocked."
Yeah. Brr, brr.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw my guy Jerry today at Colorado Off Road so we could record some spots. And he's like, "Why you're driving the Danger Ranger?" It's like, that's
danger!
what it is.
Hey,
That
hey,
is what it
you
is.
know what? You ought to do a bit. Take the old Ranger in there, which I will say this: it's a perfect farm truck. That's what we would call it, a farm truck. That you just wear it on the back roads, down in the pasture, and stuff like that. It's perfect for that. But you ought to ask you, say, okay, Jerry, what kind of magic could you do to the old Betsy right here?
You know what I need to do? We need to get with Jerry and just be like, "All right, pimp my ride." Remember
Yeah,
that show? Remember
yeah.
that dumb show?
I used to watch that show. I don't know why.
I
Exhibit,
don't
right?
either.
Exhibit.
Hey, we put a fish tank in the back seat and there's a working commode. What? I don't want that. What?
Yeah, they went
What?
from. You know what I like those talking about cars, and I don't like my brothers could pull out engines and take them apart and put them back together again, right? And I got my one brother and his son now build race cars. I got mechanic blood in my family. It went down the opposite highway when it came to me, really. Um, but I used to like what was the what's the one guy that does the fancy kind of Foos something like Foos Automotive or something like that. He would
I
take
have
those
no
like the
idea.
71 Chevelles and low ride him, new paint job, sweet shoes. Can't remember his first name. I can see a picture of him, and he's famous for making the drawings of these cars and stuff like that. If you look him up, I think it's Foos,
Okay.
Foosc. Um, but he used to have a show too. Now that show was awesome because they didn't just gimmick the cars out. They made them. They made classic BA cars.
Just say badass. It's our time, baby.
Yeah, but ones that now you can drive it every day. Not ones you're gonna buy and change the oil and go out and hand wash it and then pull it back in the garage and put a cover over it. They put enough modern stuff on that you could drive it every day.
Here you go. Our guy Stan coming through. Chip
Chip
Foose.
Foose, that's right, Chip Foose. He had a show on one of the channels. Man, I used to watch that all the time. So I see, and it's the same way with them home improvement shows, or with that couple down in Waco, Texas, flip the houses, all the stuff they made a whole cottage industry now out of, and they got their own businesses off of it. All the stuff people can do, I can't do. I enjoy watching. I enjoy. I can't ski, don't want to ski, don't have any interest in skiing. But you put a good skiing competition, Olympics, World Cup, I'll sit and watch it because that's something that someone's doing something I can't do. You put a show where they're rebuilding a complete, 68 short bed Ford. Man, I am all in on that stuff. It was a guy from Vegas that was doing it. Count something that was doing cars too.
Yeah. Remember, I don't know, I don't mind the car restoration shows. I always love Gas Monkey Garage. Hello, Deanna. Hello, Angelo.
I used to watch Gas Monkey all the time too.
Did you know? So remember his mechanic that had the beard?
Yeah. He had a separate show too. He left and had his own show.
Yeah, well, I think the problem started, they came to Denver and shot a show, and then they went to the Twin Peaks. It was by our old radio station at iHeart off of Arapahoe. And he apparently, they showed on the show, he just stayed back in Denver and partied with a bunch of the girls from the restaurant, didn't show back up when they needed him for a build. And I think that was the kind of downfall of that original cast kind of started right here.
Well,
so,
he, the mechanic guy started his own show for a while. It would do different jobs. And then he went back to rebuilding cars again. But he was big into, what's the Pikes Peaks race? He raced the Pike Peaks thing.
The midget cars or whatever they called them.
No, they ain't midget car, but what's it? But they which is a big thing, right? And they'd race the top of Pikes Peak. And I didn't realize, I said, well, what's so hard about doing that? Well, these guys are trying to do it and, going fast up that road. That road ain't, I don't really want to drive that road.
Dude, when I had my KOA night show, my solo show, which is still one of the most fun experiences I've had to this day, I got to go meet Robert Prilica, who raced the Pikes Peak race a bunch of times, and he showed me his car, lives out in Castle Rock now, told us some crazy stories about, white knuckling, trying to make sure you don't go off the road. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Somebody went off the road in the last 2 or 3 years, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm afraid I feel like it's a sensitive subject because I think someone died in the last few years, but I can't remember. Look, man, it's a dangerous race, and the point is to go fast. So,
but anyway, so I like all them stupid shows of stuff that gosh, haven't been in a while, but lady in Detroit that flips houses. But I liked it because Detroit, the mom and daughter that flip houses in Indianapolis. I mean, I've heard that street and blah 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 blah. So yeah, I watch all them shows and stuff. I can't do. If I can't do it, I'll watch that thing and just go into it.
Well, you and I, it's funny because sometimes I don't know how it is now. And I think it was called Trading Spaces was one. My wife and I got into it when she was pregnant. So we would watch it a lot because it was like when she was really pregnant, you can't really go too many places. So we'd start watching this with our first child. And then I found out they actually are bringing in crews to help them pull off these. They're trying to make it look like, oh, there's only 2 people doing this with this tiny budget. And they got exposed. No, they actually had construction crews, which made sense. Half the stuff they did, I was like, come on, man. They want a 2-guy job.
It's funny because when we bought the house I'm in, you've been over here, and it was what was it? 78. It hadn't been remodeled since 78. So we, opened up the kitchen, bing. And I'm like, dude, man, they do these shows in an hour. they guess what? For anybody out there who's ever remodeled their house, whether they've done it themselves or got somebody else do it, you ain't doing it in an hour.
No,
you ain't doing it in a day, and you're lucky if you're doing it in a week. I mean, I learned so much. I had my contractor left me about 3 weeks into the job because he found a couple of houses he wanted to build and flip himself. Well, guess what? Most of the subs work for him too, and so I was like begging to get these guys in. He scheduled the sheetrock guys came in there, boom, and they started painting. I'm like, wait a minute. Electrician came in. I go, did they already redo these walls? I go, yeah. He goes, well, I got to knock a hole in there, and there, and there. And I learned so much about what you got to do before you do it. I learned about the elevation of plumbing, like a toilet, like especially if it's we have a toilet right above where I'm sitting in the upstairs. And we took the ceilings out. We had to do some stuff, blah, blah, blah. The guy, the plumber, looks, he goes, you ain't got much angle on your draining. It's almost flat, if not going back. And I'm like, well, what comes out there? And he goes, poop. I'm like, I don't think we want the toilet backing up, so he had to fix the angle and do that. And so the ceiling can't be quite as high as we want. I mean, man, you learn. And so those guys doing that stuff. Now, these two ladies, this mom and daughter I watch in Indianapolis, they'll start, it'll be like, fall, and they're wearing their, hoodie and their jeans, and the next thing you know, they're walking in, they got a fur coat and it's full snow out. And the next thing you know, they're showing the house and someone's buying it and they've got tank tops. I'm like, okay, that was like months. That they time, they just edited it down. But I mean, that was 8 months you just took to do that house right there.
Yeah, I just got, I don't know why I thought they could do it in the time frame they were pretending to, but I just remember they got popped. And then you and I were into Fear. That was the original ghost show that we liked on MTV. And it turned out they were piping in noise and making fake ghost things happen and stuff on that. So be careful what you see on TV, kids. You never know if it's actually the truth.
Yeah.
Nuggets, let's start there. Nuggets, what are you thinking?
Well,
you loving the last 2 nights? We good? We feeling good?
Yeah, I mean, the last game before a big break is always scary to me. Yet you look what the Avs do. They go into Edmonton after giving away that game in Vancouver and didn't look very good. And then you go to Calgary and Edmonton and go boom, boom before the break. I mean, that you almost like, can we not push the break back? They're playing. And I feel the same way with the Nuggets. They've won 7 straight. Here, I'm going to give you a little stat today. The Malone mentioned to us today on our show. Do you realize, and it seems like it's been a pretty topsy-turvy up and down year, right?
Yeah, it does.
And we've had, hey, there's old Scott Wadley there. Hey, Scotty. If they win tomorrow night, which will be Wednesday night, they will have the identical record they had a year ago in a year where they set the franchise record for most wins.
Yeah, it feels like they got there in a much different way, though, doesn't it?
Well, if you remember, they got hot at about the All-Star break to the end of the season. So maybe they start a week early. Maybe they're on that. Maybe that's just who this team is. As long as we got Joker and Murray and Aaron and Michael and whoever adds on to this team, Christian and Russ and everything else. Maybe that's just what they are. They just gonna remember. I've told you and I've talked about on this podcast that in the NBA, at least the first 20, 25 games, don't be pushing any buttons for panic, and they were 12-11 at one time.
Yeah, but it just look, Scotty, and there's this kid Cordell out there, and I like Cordell, but I just feel like I'll say my philosophy. I don't mind stats. I don't mind trends. I do like that stuff. I'm not a stat head. I'm not trying to knock the analytics or anything like that, but I feel like I feel it's like all part of a soup to get to where, you feel about a team. And I've had a lot of people saying, well, the record is this and that, they're 14-4 since the start of the month. Well, that's good, but they played a lot of bad teams. Malone said it on your show today on Altitude. He goes, look, we're doing what we should be doing. We're beating the teams we're better than. And I give him credit because they had some trouble doing that at points since the start of the new year. But, look, I was saying this team feels off. Some feels weird when they went through the Chicago. They get whooped in Minnesota and look like they don't care about playing the game at all. Then they lose to a Chicago team it feels like they shouldn't be losing to. Then they have to eke one out against a very injured 76ers team and Charlotte. And look, I know that the more the road trip goes on, the harder sometimes wins are to come. are to come by because you're not in your bed and you're out of routine. And you told us on the radio, you don't even really get to practice in a lot of these joints. You just got to go to a ballroom and try to fake it and get by. But I feel like the last week, it feels like since were they just sick of each other on the road? Does that just happen where, I mean, we can all
No,
relate to that, right? I've just been around you too much in hotel rooms. I don't know.
I just think the defense is bought in, and I always push back on that a little bit. They have gotten better. They've changed a couple things technically, um, with pick and rolls, and the league runs a million pick and rolls. They've changed something technically, scheme wise, over the last, it seems, 4 or 5 games that I think makes them better. That's a difference. They've gotten more unselfish, in my opinion, um, in the last week or two. Because I thought there was way too much 1-on-1. You still see Aaron Gordon sometimes, and I think they just give it to him because there's not a lot of plays run for him. So I think every once in a while they say, okay, go try to get to the free throw line or get a layup. But I don't think he's 100% yet either with that calf. I think he's probably operating about 85. And that makes a difference if you're a jumper, right? So, but they've gotten less selfish. I think in this 7-game win streak, Andy, they've had 2 games with over 40 assists. That's unheard of. That's like Magic Mike numbers, right? I mean, how much? I mean, the other night, what they have last night, last night, 44 assists and only 10 turnovers. So
Yeah.
here's goes back where I'm not a big believer in this defense, although they have changed schematic things. When you only turn it over 10, guess what you ain't doing? The other team ain't scoring a lot of points off. I think Portland got 10 points off your 10 turnovers, something like 11 maybe. There was a game on the road. It might have been the Minnesota game. They had 37 points off your turnovers. Well, how good your defense going to be if you're giving them the ball back and they're running down and shooting layups or transition threes or whatever it is? So they've taken better care of the ball. That's a key. That when they take better care for the ball, it's funny their defense is adequate enough to win.
Well, speaking of a great stat, I'll give you a stat that I did like. Nate had a great stat from last night's game, and you guys might have said it, and if you did, I apologize. But it turns out the Nuggets had 44 assists, as you mentioned. The Trailblazers had 40 field goals. So the Nuggets had more assists than they had field goals. So
think about that.
That'll get you winning a few games, right?
It's unheard of. They had, like I said, in the streak sometime, they had a game where they had 41 assists. I thought that was outlandish. They lead the league in assists. I will say this, though, and I know I'm biased. I cover the games. I travel with the team, blah, blah, blah. But with the trend of the NBA where everybody's going to go out there and everybody's jacking up 53s a game, Nuggets are one of the bottom 2 or 3 teams in 3 attempts at 33. I think they're top 5, top 6 in percentage makes, but they're 29th or 30th in the number of attempts. I think 30th, actually. I find it more fun to watch pass, cut, pick and roll the basket, move there, kick it out, pivot it, and everybody, and you don't know who's going to be hot. Maybe it's Michael, 3 straight games of 30. Maybe last night, Jamal Murray gets kicked out in the middle of the third quarter and he's got 30. Joker doesn't play the fourth quarter and he had the easiest 40 points I've ever seen, right? And you're not getting that if you ain't getting a whole bunch of layups. Joker made a couple big shots. That's cool, but they're playing a brand of basketball that if you just like basketball, they lead the league in fast breaking points, which it means they're running and getting up. And that's what, Denver was under Doug Moe was known for, getting up and down the floor. They're leading the league in assists. That means they're not selfish. They're moving the ball around. Oh, he's got a better shot than me. I'm going to get it to Andy. Okay, Andy, you got it. Nate's open. Oh, Andy's going to throw it to Nate now. That ain't the NBA. And, they've lost some games this year when teams like Cleveland and Boston are pounding, mega threes, and they got to find an answer for that. But I'll say this. I'd rather watch this than a team that just runs to the 3-point line and jacks up 45, 53s every night.
No, I think most of the nation agrees with you. I think it's why the ratings have struggled a little bit this year. You know, but
And yet it's funny. We got to deal with Channel 9. Channel 9's blown away with how good their ratings are.
yeah, because this is a fun team to watch play basketball. This is the basketball I think a lot of us are pining for. Frankly, it's the basketball I don't know why more players don't demand to play. Why are we seeing a different version of Russell Westbrook? He's not on a 3-and-D team. He's not on a bombs away. He's not on get out of James Harden's way and let him have his shot, and then maybe you go get a rebound, put it in, and run back and play D. If you when you are on Joker's team, then you know what? You all better be ready to catch the ball. You all better be ready to be a threat because he's going to pass it to you, like you said, if you're open, and it's contagious. You've told me 1,000 times you will play the way your best player plays, right? I've seen it 100 times. If your best player is unselfish, so is everybody else. I liked Carmelo Anthony a lot, but what was Carmelo Anthony? He was selfish about his offense. So what happened? That meant once I get a rebound, I ain't giving it back to you. I'm going to be selfish about my offense too.
Which now hurts you because if he's off, you're going to struggle to win games. Where if Joker has a game where he's not shooting and he's had a handful, not shooting the ball great, guess what? Somebody else may be there to pick him up. So I talked to Christian Brown last night, and he's like top 3, I think, in all the NBA in fast break points, right? He's top 2 or 3 in points in the paint. He's a 6'4" and a half, 6'5" guard. He's one of the top leaders. That's usually the Joel Embiids or the Hardens or somebody like that. And they don't run plays for him. So how's he in the top 5 in points in the paint when you ain't running no plays for him? I asked him, I said, it sure seems like after last night's game that people are starting to figure out you're getting a lot of easy looks on running. He goes, yeah, I'm starting to get competition. I've noticed more guys are running out with me. So, man, but it goes back to what you said. If Joker's going to throw it ahead and get somebody open who's out running, guess what? Now you got everybody out running.
Yeah. I'll take the free layup, right? I'll take the nice dunk, you know. Who do you think has earned more playing time with this little bit of a stint? I mean, look, I know with Zeke Naji, you're always going to say he's done it against the poor teams. Let's see it against the good teams. But Scotty, I mean, he goes and he's had a couple of those drives to the hoop when he's been confident and thrown down some thunder dunks where you can hear the boom and from the rim mic, and he just goes with authority. He looks like Karl Malone a little bit, or maybe your boy Dominique, the way he just like viciously attacks the rim. Like I just wish I hope you've unlocked something there. I'm not ready to say that you have, but if you keep playing him again, Scotty, if you could keep playing any of these dudes, it is like you made a trade.
Well, and how did Michael play before his hamstring thing?
Killing it.
He was playing different than he's ever played, right? He's cutting to the basket. He's curling tight screen pin downs and doing stuff that he's never done. And he's kept himself alive in the offense. That's like getting a new player, to be honest with you. Murray kind of settling down instead of, and I said as well, I go, Murray and Gordon are going to have times where, okay, here they go. Dribble, pound, 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 pound. Step back and you hope they score it. But even Murray, Murray's the last handful of games he's played is getting 8, 9 assists. Come on now. If Murray's going to get you 20 plus and 9 assists every game, how many games are you going to lose? If Michael Porter's going to hit 5 threes, get you 20 plus every night, and get you 10 rebounds, how many games? How much better are you? And let's be honest, and that's with Joker, who's already won 3 MVPs, having a better year than any year he's ever had. I saw a stat today. He's averaging right over 30. He's averaging more points than it was some other Hall of Fame ever averaged. He's averaged more rebounds. He's averaging more rebounds right now than Tim Duncan ever averaged. Think about that right there. He's averaging more assists than any center's ever had, period. And so he's doing that. So now if all of a sudden Murray's put a game where he's getting his, but guess what? He's making people better around him. That's the good Jamal Murray. That's the good Jamal Murray that gets you to the NBA Finals. Porter, not just getting pushed out to the 3-point line and then standing there, 8 out of 10 plays. Yeah, he's back cutting guys. He's curling hard screens. He's doing different things. That's a different player. And then when you get, okay, we need another a perimeter defender. Zeke, get in and give us 6-7 minutes where we need you to play Zion Williams or another big forward, and he does a nice job. And listen, Christian ain't just running up and down and getting layups. He is, and back cuts. He is. But dude, go look at some of the people he's had to defend the last few years, the last few games. They had Troy Murphy, right, had that big game in that first time he played New Orleans. But they put him on Murphy in the fourth quarter. Murphy got 2 shots, went 0 for 2. Then they played him in the second game. He played him just okay. You got him. Troy Murphy had just a regular game. I mean, it was just a real quiet game. Don't sleep on Christian Brown, what he's done defensively. I mean, that guy, and you and I talked about it, Andy. And I told you, I said, I ain't worried about Christian Brown replacing KCP. You're going to be absolutely fine there. And the key is finding somebody off the bench, Peyton Watson, Zeke Najee lately, somebody else, heck,
Strother when he's not in the
Strother.
starting lineup.
But Jalen Pickett, I mean, we thought this guy was a bust last year. I don't feel he came in because you got Russ was out again. He's your backup point guard. I didn't have any problem at all how he played.
No, look, his coach had told us from Penn State, we got him on right after the draft a couple summers ago, and his coach said, look, he's got a pro-ready game, and then it's like he lost that. We got to talk to him on the show today, which was nice. He's an easy kid to root for, right? He speaks well. He just is he's got an energy to him that I like.
And can you tell how smart he is, too, though, when he starts talking about basketball?
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting because I asked him, I said, this may sound silly, but can you learn something about point guard from watching Joker? And he talked about all the things Joker does. It just shows you, yeah, there's plenty of things I can learn from the center because he's basically like a point guard. But look, I give Jalen Pickett a lot of credit, man. I asked him, do you think you got better in the G League? Because, look, you and I both know there's plenty of levels of minor league baseball where players go down, they don't get better. You're not – guys tell me all the time, you ain't facing a major league pitcher who's going to grind in on strike 2 to make sure he gets you out, or a major league hitter that's going to just foul off every little thing that you try to nibble on the outside of the plate. So how do you get better? But Jalen Pickett said, I absolutely got better down there. How much do you think that's Andre Miller coaching him?
Well, let me tell you what. They got similar games. Andre Miller was below the rim, probably past first point guard. Could back down other point guards because he had a squatty body and was strong. And he was, before Joker, maybe the smartest player that I've been around in my 40 years. Well, figured out 91 was when I got here as a player. Andre Miller was the smartest player. Well, him, Chauncey Billups, and Nikola Jokic, are like minces when it comes to basketball knowledge. So, yeah, if he can impart that, and that's I interviewed for a G League. It was D League back then when I interviewed. I actually interviewed for the head coaching job in a D League team, and actually had the job. And then they said, "Hey, is 14 to 20,000 enough?" No.
No.
I'm gonna sell Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah. I spent that on eggs last month. Come on.
But I've always said, if you own a G League team, and Denver now has one, Grand Rapids Gold, you develop coaches there too, and you put guys there. They turned it into, it ain't a punishment anymore. It used to be a punishment when you got down there, or punishment, or like you just said, we'll see you next training camp, kid. Good luck. These kids go down and get work, and I think Andre Miller, I'm not sure they could have asked for a better guy to put in as a first time head coach too, other than some AAU stuff. I think whoever decided on signing Andre Miller as the coach was a brilliant move.
Well, I mean, Jalen just told us how much it did for him, had just getting the reps, getting to play, getting to see things, getting to work on his shot. He changed his shot a bit. He's starting to work the shot. I mean, I like him, and I'm hoping things go well for him. He's an easy kid to root for. You gonna check in on the Four Nations tournament tomorrow? You're gonna check in on Team Canada, and I don't remember who they're playing. U.S. doesn't play till Thursday, I don't think.
It's one of those things, and I said this on the show today. I think it's on one hand, my initial gut was it's stupid that you're shutting down a pro league for 2 weeks for 4 teams, 4 countries. But what we don't understand in the United States that Finland or Canada or I don't even know who the fourth team is. Is what it fits. Is Sweden? Who is it?
It's Finland, Sweden, Canada, and the
Yeah.
U.S.
And if you had a French team, or if you had a Serbian team, or if you the international national playing means so much. I mean, world championships we like take for granted. Oh well, hey, USA picked fourth this year, but overseas, go look at the party Serbia had for getting third in the Olympics. I mean,
Right.
that's like a 2-week party they had, right? The international play is huge everywhere except in the United States.
Because we have the pro leagues.
Yeah, I will, if I remember it and it happens to be on, I'll put it on. I may check in Saturday because I don't really have anything to do Saturday. I think that's when US. Oh, I just got looked at. I don't, off the top of my head, know of anything I have to do Saturday at, I think it's 8 Eastern time. So 6 o'clock here. I may flip on, see a little USA and Canada on ABC, I believe.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't get too spicy is all. We need everybody back and healthy. Avs look like they're putting a nice little run. After that pooper against Vancouver that you and I were on the air for last week, so to speak. They did an all right job. They did a good job of getting those wins against Calgary and against Edmonton in particular.
And
So
a shootout fun hockey game to watch against Edmonton.
yeah, now they just need to go acquire a nice big defenseman, maybe another power forward. Let's get Val back in the mix, and away we go. So,
well, let's hope, that first game back after this 2 weeks off that we're going to see Val Nichushkin.
Yeah, I hope so because it's been promised. So you need to get him back out there. Both teams need to settle in. Like I heard you talk on your show earlier. They're both past the mid-season point. It's grind time the minute they get back. It's time. Go lock up the playoff spots. The Avs need to crawl. If the Nuggets hold on to the number 2 spot, I am with Nate on this. I'm fine if the Nuggets hold on to the number 2 spot. Avoid Oklahoma City till the very end of this thing. And I know they're young and all that other stuff, but maybe get an injury, I don't need to play them first round of the playoffs. I'll say that. So
no. Well, if you get 2 or 3, the advantage of 2 over 3 is home court if you win the first round for the second round. So you'll have home court for the first 2 rounds. Not that helped you last year. You lost game 7 at home.
true.
And then you see, listen, ain't no one catching Oklahoma City.
No, which is fine.
That's fine.
But young teams, I don't have to tell you, you were in the league. Young teams usually learn a lesson.
They may be able to shut it down the last 2 or 3 weeks to see if that takes a little edge off of them.
I was about to say, you shut it down as a young team. Sometimes you don't always turn it back on. We've seen that. What'd you think of the Super Bowl? You and I have not really talked about it because why would we? But what'd you think of the Super Bowl? You always talk to us about your boys' text chain that you got going on with the KC people. Did you drop a couple jabs in there? Did you shield a couple people in the text chain?
I didn't. I've stayed off of it. Now they're on to college basketball. KU and K-State basketball were the big topics of discussion the last 24 hours. I thought it was one of the most, if I wasn't doing a sports talk radio show and a podcast with Mr. Andy Lindahl, Hot Mike, I probably would have turned that thing off at halftime and never been back.
Stupid little, yeah, the thumbs up thing isn't going. I don't know what happened. It was doing it for Ellie, and it's not doing it for us now. Yeah, they must be Chiefs fans. Listen, you and I growing up, that's all the Super Bowl used to be. It was mainly the NFC East when it was Washington, Dallas, the Eagles, the Giants. They just took turns beating each other up and then getting to the Super Bowl. The Niners jumped in there a few times.
Yeah.
But I had told you I thought we were due for a bad one. Now I thought Kansas City would just go in because they always do. The Eagles brought a passing game that they've had in the playoffs. We didn't see at the end of the season. I agree with you though. You said it last week on the podcast, and I agree with you. I think this could be the start of. I think Kansas City comes a little. Now I'm not saying they're going down to the bottom of the mountain.
They won't.
I think they're coming off the peak a bit.
Yeah, they're off the mountain a little bit, but they got 15.
Right, so they're still hanging out at the second summit.
Now, the worst thing that could happen is happening if Mahomes is the truth. And we in America love to kick the star on the way down, don't we? I mean, we are notorious for, building you up, cheering you on, and then when you trip and fall, man, we're going to ride you into the dirt all the way down. I bet I've watched 2 or 3 little clips already, including by Bill Simmons is one of them. Say, can we get off this that Patrick goat of all time? Do you see how bad he was? This ain't the goat. Tom Brady never did this. And I'm like, okay, if I need any motivation, if I'm Patrick Mahomes, let everybody say I suck now. okay, go do that. And I know there's a lot of believers out there. You gonna tell me if we didn't have a chance to trade for Patrick Mahomes right now, everybody in orange wouldn't do that? You just unplugged your mic. See, we're coming here live, and you unplugged your mic, didn't you? I can't hear you. Now keep talking. Yeah. So anyway, I've watched 2 or 3 of those things and just climbing all over Patrick Mahomes. Man, he didn't have a great game, and we're expecting him to always be great. But can we give that defensive unit, Vic Fangio, any credit at all for how Vic Fangio defense worked? They didn't blitz him, and he was under pressure all day. In fact, I'll tell you a funny thing, because I work with Mr. and Mrs. Football, noon to 3, 92.5 Altitude Sports Radio. They're going all over free agents. Any of these free agents excite you? Top 100 free agents. Blah, 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 blah. And one of the cats was one of the offensive lines for Kansas City. And they're starting to act like they're going to talk serious. I'm going, whoa. Did you just not watch a game two days ago? and you're going to sign a free agent from the offensive line of Kansas City? Talk about a bad year for a Kansas City offensive lineman to be a free agent. This dude ain't getting paid.
No.
Trouble.
No. Can you hear me now, by the way?
Yeah. I can hear you now.
Yeah, it's
What'd you unplug?
I kicked the cord down there and the board went off, and who knows? I don't know. Whatever. It's been that kind of day.
It's struts and conduits.
It's been that kind of week. Yeah, I do think Kansas City has a lot of needs to address for once. But again, don't be taking shots at Patrick Mahomes. I don't like the guy because he's a Chief, but you got to respect what that dude is. They had no business winning half the games. And listen, you want to know why it was the most watched Super Bowl in history? Because none of us could convince ourselves he wasn't going to do something to come back. We had to watch that thing until the end to make sure he didn't pull some witchery one more time, because that's how good he is. So now they got to get some receivers.
I know they went to kind of basic prevent, but that one throw he threw, that 60-yard touchdown or whatever it was,
the easy flick.
I mean, all he needed to do that was in the second quarter, and you'd have gone, ooh.
Well, if DeAndre Hopkins holds on to that one in the flat, and it looked like he could have run to the end zone, minimum they're getting some points. That could have been every Super Bowl that they've won. They've been down in. But they always get the one play that flips the momentum and gets the other team nervous. That DeAndre Hopkins play could have been the play, but it wasn't. So
they got a stat up, Andy, and I may be wrong, but I swear I read this. Every Super Bowl they won, they were down at least 10 points at one time.
Yeah, because they were down to that both times to the Niners and to the Eagles. If the Eagles had just stayed with themselves, had a Vic Fangio, had a Saquon Barkley, they'd have beat them both. Frankly, the Niners should have beat them both times. I can't think if Garoppolo hits the wide open Emmanuel Sanders, and last year that thing went to overtime. It's all right, whatever. All you Kansas City people enjoy it. Has the Super Bowl lost a little of its pop culture flair? I mean,
Well,
it's still an event. And I say this, and guys, comment. I want to hear from the commenters too, because you and I think, are a little bit different. But Scotty, when I was working with you on the zoo, we had commercials. We had to go get the commercials to play back. We had to rate the halftime show. We had to rate, and now and look, I'll say this about the halftime show, man. If you're into the music, it was cool. If you weren't, you weren't. You know what I mean? Listen, I'd love to see Metallica play the Super Bowl halftime show, and if they got to, half the country'd hate that too, if not more. And so whatever about the halftime show, but when it comes to, man, I feel like you get this mix of serious along with some of the, just make them funny. We're all trying to. It's called a Super Bowl party. Can we just have some funny commercials? There's no good Budweiser anymore.
they had that one about kids surviving cancer, like in that first quarter, and his kid's wearing like boxing stuff, and he's running like Rocky, and he's da da da. Turns out it was a real cancer survivor kid, and he's jumping up and down. It turns out it was a dream, and then it cut flashback, and he's jumping up into his mom's arm. I look over the warden. Warden looks at me, and Warden doesn't even. Hey, onions cry when the warden cuts onions, right? And I look over here. We both got puddles in our eye. Yeah, that I mean, it was a good commercial, but man.
Yeah, but you're bringing the room down a little. I mean, I don't know. Look, I'm happy for the kid.
Yeah.
We're just here to laugh. It's just a football game. I'm here to laugh. Harrison Ford being all super serious about his Jeep and telling me about freedom. All right, man, cool. But can I just get a frog flipping me off and burping Budweiser or something? Wazza or just something. I'd like the Dunkin' Donuts.
What happened to
I thought
the
the Dunkin' Donuts was kind of funny.
What happened to the Budweiser frogs?
They sucked, and so they moved on from them. So whatever. The Dunkin' Donuts I thought was funny because Affleck kind of made me laugh. But all the Eugene Levy with his weird eyebrows.
That was funny.
No, that was gross. It's grossing me out. And then the mustache one.
All right, here you go. What was grosser? Eugene Levy's eyebrows taking off and flying around, or the singer seal being a real seal?
Dude, I couldn't do the singer seal being a seal. That had a little human caterpillar thing to it. I couldn't. It was like, come on, man, come on. This is too much. Yeah. Not this. No.
Yeah, that was a
or no, the worst was the cowboy hat head.
Oh, that was kind of nasty too.
Yeah, I don't know. None of that. So, but do you think it's lost some of its pop culture appeal? If you had a party in the thing, talk to us about it. I don't feel like I had a lot of people. I don't get invited to a lot of parties anyway because I'm me, but I don't feel like people have a lot of parties anymore.
Yeah, we've gone dry in this household, and so we sat here, had some cheese and sausage and crackers and a little cheese dip and some chips and salsa, and drank Coke Zeros, and it was what it was.
You almost spent $2,000.
I did.
Although we are the last score of the game, 4 minutes or whatever it was, away from a pool the warden had us in that we would have caked 2,000.
Of course. Well, my buddy James Gomez, who used to produce my show, he was going to win $1,100 if the Chiefs won. They offered him a buyout at $544, and he's telling me and Tyler about it on our old text change from the show we all used to do together. And I was like, "Bro, you're golden. You're fine." Ugh.
He didn't take it.
He didn't take the buyout.
Oh, that's stupid.
See, that's why you and I would make good gamblers. I'm with you. You mean you're going to give me $500 today?
Well,
fine, I'll take
listen,
the $500 today.
there-
You know,
there's a saying that goes, it's an aged old adage. Do you know why those things usually come true? Because the word has been aged. It's stood the test of time. And here's an age old adage: one in the hand is better than two in the bush.
what the hell's in the bush when they talk about
Well, you know what? You know what was in James's bush? Not $1,000. Not $554. That's what's in James's bush right there.
Two hands in the bush?
Yeah. So come on now.
Well, all right. I think we've come to the end, my friend. I don't know. Are we missing anything? Was there anything else you wanted to cover other than it's cold and it's miserable? This has been a crappy winter. Is it fair to say?
It's been different. It's been different.
We've had enough cold. I feel like we've gotten our usual share of Colorado cold. Like, I'm psyched the mountains are about to get dumped on. Good for you. Take all the snow and all the ski traffic and all the runoff. I'm down.
Hey, Stanaconda says, what about the tongue commercial? What was the tongue?
Oh, yeah, that weird tongue commercial. He's right. Where the guy laid his head back because he tried something and the tongue was all dancing around and doing
God.
weird.
So
What the hell was that?
This Super Bowl is known as the year of the gross commercials.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
We'll have to talk about that on the radio tomorrow. That's a good dumb question. Was this Super Bowl commercial? Hey, but I will say this: you asked about the pop culture thing. By now, we would have had a whole segment or two rating all the commercials. We didn't even talk about one commercial in 2 days of our show.
Oh, I'm with you because I mean, again, I don't know what other term to use, but it jumped the shark. People bust me on that for being too old, but I just feel like the fervor of what it became in the early 2000s, where people were just all about the party. I feel like that's died a bit, you know.
I think it's about the bets. I think for you and I, who aren't, we just admitted, big gambling guys, I think people are the bets, and then they're playing the catch up bets at the end. And let's take the spread in the last 5 minutes, and let's do this and all this. Hey, I can tease this. Yeah, okay.
Well, listen,
I'm old school. You know why? I like to watch football.
how about how the audience has changed? Remember, there was the breast cancer commercial where they're showing a ton of boobs, and then all of a sudden they're telling the ladies to go get them checked. The boobs would have been in a beer commercial. You know, the Coors Light twins is what we had a million years ago.
In the 90s, it would have been Bud Light.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now it's go get them checked, ladies. And I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I mean, listen, good message, but that just kind of surprised me. I was like, wow, that was in the middle of the Super Bowl. My how times have changed. So, you know, I still can't get it to do it.
I don't think yours ever has.
No, I did. It was just on because Ellie laughed at it earlier. Yeah. All right. We're going to do this again next week. Now, what are you doing? Are you going to Rancho Cucamonga or something here for a couple days, or what's the deal?
No. I think I'm going to take a couple days off the terrestrial radio. And I think you'll catch me right here in the same bat channel, the same bat time.
Yeah, we'll try to do this again. I don't know, 9 o'clock Tuesdays seem to work. What we might do, folks, is we might start recording them early, which would suck because we can't get the live content, but you'll still get to watch it right at the same time. So we'll see. I don't know. I tried to get us on the altitude thing tonight, and I can't get Raj to answer a text as to this code in the email. And I just feel like we're getting gatekeeped out of that. So,
well, if you've seen half the crap that's on that channel, which is 90% DMAG, you think they want funny, irreverent, and knowledgeable stuff?
Wow. Well, DMAC did make you and me a section, so we have to thank him for that. There's nothing on it because I can't get in the damn thing, but he did make us a section. So,
well, someday we'll be on that someday, but it'll be the most entertaining thing on there. Let's be honest.
I love you for that. Let's do that. What's your thing say? I can't put a what? Oh,
I can't, but I know a guy.
nice. That goes back to your building beginning of this. I can't build this house, but I know a guy. So.
That's right.
All right. Good night, all. Say goodbye, Bessie.
Hey, you want to say bye to Warren before
If
you
you do
leave?
that, I will murder you.
Well, just say goodbye to him.
Bye.
No, show me. So let's see. I need a good murder mystery. It's the same outfit. What are you mad about?
It's not. Wow.
It is. It's the
Done?
same pants as a week ago.
Scott Allen Hastings, turn it around now.
Hey, I'll call you at 30th, CVS.
Hey, you know, every beautiful car's got a dirty engine.
You know what? Hey, real quick. We were doing our keywords today for. Tell me if this was funny. I should laugh at my own joke. Nate, one of our keywords for the King Supers thing was passion.
Passion.
Passion. And I go, like the fruit. And he goes, well, it can mean other things. I go, if you're married, it means like the fruit. And with that, good night.
Good night, everybody.